Hello everyone and welcome to my best and favorite builds in Grounded. I wanted to go through and showcase this and basically just share them with you kind of as a send-off for Grounded 2 because there's been a lot of different cool and unique things I've managed to build here in this game. So first up, we are in the Pagota, a staple of Grounded and one of the very best spots here in the game. Now as you can see on the outside here, I went through and I designed all of the lower walls to be completely even. Now the upper side can go through and allow bugs to get in for raids like wasps and mosquitoes, but overall it is rare that I have any raids out here. As you can see, we have the glorious castle-like entrance with the double doors. It did take a moment to align this, but it worked out pretty well. And I managed to do that with these pillar-like structures here, basically just the little half walls all together. And then as you can see here on the top, I filled them out nicely with a little ceiling piece. Now I've got our little ant friends. I do only have 2 of 3 in this current playthrough, but basically I have achieved coziness level 5, as you can see through here. Actually, it says 4. That's definitely 5. Yeah, there we are. And I managed to do that by putting the chimneys against each wall, making it basically have the exact same on every single wall, and then filling out the sides of them. So here, of course, I do happen to have a research station in my base, which is super handy. For anybody who plays Grounded, you know that's going to be your best friend. My crafting station, upgrade station, all my little ropes here. And then over here, we've got the oven, basically a little kitchen area you can cook. Do have the ant chandeliers here. These really help with the coziness level, keeping you at level 5. And then on this side here, I've just got my little bed set up and a couple more things that you need. And then a bunch of extra decorations to help push that coziness level to the next level. Got our broodmother sign here. And then as I would have continued to play, I might still finish this playthrough. Then I basically can go through and expand. Then I would probably seal up the top here just to make it more raid proof. And then I've got the storage station in the middle. Again, for anyone that plays Grounded, you know that the best place to place storage is going to be in a centralized location. Simply because if you use a station over here, if it's in the middle, you'll be able to pull from this storage no matter what side of the room that you're in. And I can pull from any of these storage containers while I'm actually on any different station or workstation here on the outside. And then I do, of course, have them labeled because organization is an absolute must. Taking a look here, you can see it's pretty easy to pull anything out I need. And then, of course, if you wanted to go through and deposit it, you could just deposit it with the hot deposit option. But I don't have anything. And then I do have the armor sets too if I wanted to swap out my armor, and some more different spaces for my weapons, which I just basically have not filled out yet. But overall, I really do like this build, and I might just finish it. It's been a lot of fun. But yeah, let me take you over to the next location. Alright, and now next up is going to be my first ever castle build, which I designed here in the upper yard. And as you can see, it is absolutely massive, and it was designed directly above, or basically really close to where the undershed's going to be located. So in this build here, I did showcase this in my best building tips video, but yeah, it is a pretty sweet build. You can see I've got everything you need here on the outside, the dew droplets, different jerky stands, water, a couple of gardening locations, lots of access to sap because you can place the acorns here on the actual branches there. Down below, of course, again, I'm a sucker for having a research station in your base because I do not want to make an extra trip to have to go through and scan everything. Which we do know, by the way, in Grounded 2, most likely we will have something similar to this because it has been confirmed that raw science is in fact making a return in Grounded 2. So yeah, definitely we'll probably have research stations, or at least their variant of it in some capacity. Have this pretty sweet flat area too, kind of looking almost like a little lobby area where I can just test things out. We've got all my armor sets here, of course all the ants, and different statues there. Was not fully yet done designing all this. I do have some extra details, but I just love the actual build. I might go through and add some details to this, I'm not sure. I'm kind of sending a farewell, though, to Grounded 1, since Grounded 2 is right around the corner, and I'm super excited to dive in. I was probably experimenting here with the wall snaps. Yep, just ignore that little piece here. And of course, up here you do have this very golden pipe, very large golden pipe that makes for an interesting aesthetic. I'm just kidding. It's just a piece of trash in the way. But here's my storage room. Very cool looking, kind of semi in the middle of the base. Of course, was going to deck this out with another layer up top. So you can go through and have a whole bunch of storage overall. Definitely added some lighting. Always need lighting in your base. Lighting basically amplifies the build. You can see I also use the pentagon style opening since basically nothing's going to break in here. If something's already in here, then I'm probably going to lose stuff. So no real point in building doors at every entrance. And then utilize the pillars and the upside down little pieces here to create a nice little awning. And then this room was empty. This was going to kind of be the crafting stuff is going to go down here in the storage room. But this is going to be kind of the bedroom-like area and super decked out. I didn't finish this build, but I absolutely love the castle build and how it turned out, especially The top up there, as you're able to see with the photo mode. Let's see if I can get out of this, and there it is. So just the different walkways and awnings. I really am excited to see what they do with building in Grounded 2. It was already such a great feature. It does it so incredibly well. So I'm really excited to see what they come out with in Grounded 2. But yeah, this is my best take at a castle and my first take at a castle. So I thought it turned out pretty good. But I'm excited to see what we can do in the next game here. All right, let's move on over to the next build. All right, now next up is actually going to be a pretty basic house. Nothing nearly as elegant or extravagant as the previous two, and pretty basic. You might even think it looks like trash. And frankly, that's because it probably does. This was one of my very first builds. Not my first build, but one of my very first ones, and I was pretty proud of it because it wasn't just a box. So this was pretty cool. I designed it just above the mysterious machine here so I can get away from all the nasties down there. And I basically just didn't feel like venturing too far out because I was kind of terrified of what you could find there in the dark. But yeah, if you got your very basic things like your crafting station, water droplets down below, I did make a small little basement with some storage, which I was pretty proud of at the time, which again looks pretty basic in comparison to what I just showed you. And some different levels here as well that I didn't fill out, but it was all made out of grass and clover, so definitely not durable. But I think at this point I had more actual different planks and pallets than I did actual details in the base. But I was pretty proud of this when I first made it. Won't kind of dive into it, but yeah, this is kind of, I started kind of with this style, and obviously you saw the other two things that I just showed you, so obviously I did learn quite a bit when it comes to building, but I figured I would show you all start somewhere, and of course you can improve over time. Alright, let's move on over to the next one. And now lastly, my first ever base in Grounded. Basically a small little grass box on top of a rock. You see, when I first started playing the game and I found out you could kill the red ants, wear their armor, and they would be your friend and ignore you, I realized that was going to be an asset. And in a world where there's a bunch of scary bugs and everything was foreign to me, I realized having somebody to protect me was going to be ideal, so I set up shop next to them right here. Now, little did I know, let me tell you, this is actually a reconstructed version of my first base because I was unaware in the very beginning of the game that if the foundations to your base get destroyed, your whole base gets collapsed. So I did actually lose this base due to a stink bug. I tried to fight him and he got too close and broke this, so I lost the whole thing. But this is what it looked like. It was a very, very basic box with everything made of grass, very basic necessities in here. I had made a few trips to the tree, but not a whole lot going on. But basically what happened is the moment you break this, yeah, that's what happened to my first base. So I did have to reconstruct it, but lesson well learned. And as I was saying, seeing where I started, this little grass box here, all the way over to the castle build and things like the pagoda, were pretty remarkable. So you can definitely start somewhere, and as you play, obviously you'll get a whole lot better. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. I did have other base builds, but those are my favorites. I want to kind of include two really good ones and then two kind of early on ones, just to show that if you're not a great base builder, you can have something that look like complete crap like that, or even the one I just showed you a moment ago at number 3, and you could evolve and basically create something really, really nice with just time and practice. But yeah, if you did enjoy the video, then please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more. And if you have base builds you want to share with me, head on over to the channel's Discord, the link's in the description, and feel free to drop screenshots of great things you've built there. I do got a bunch more tips and plans for Grounded and Grounded 2. I think I'll do a couple more Grounded 1 videos before Grounded 2 comes out. But yeah, these are some of my favorite base locations and base builds. Alright, I'll see you all next time.